What's up, everybody, and welcome to a brand new episode of Game Time here on the Game Time Sports channel on YouTube. I'm the Outlaw John Rocha, joined as always by the man who whooped my ass on the Thanksgiving Day with his Cowboys 45-10, Winston A. Marshall. How are you feeling? How you doing, Winston A?
This should pretty much say that, first of all, I'm repping one of my favorite athletes of all time right here, but this should really say smash the Commanders because God damn.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. It was a horrible thing to witness. It was a terrible thing to experience for sure. I was going nuts as it was happening, and it ruined my Thanksgiving. And I don't know what else to do about it, to be honest with you. It just drove me insane.
I mean, that's why, Sean really should give you a break. Like, if you need a blood feud, you can have a blood feud. You know what I'm saying? Like, your life is just rough, bro.
Come on.
So
I wish I had Patrick Mahomes to complain about every week, but I don't. I've got Sam Howell, who, by the way, threw for 300 yards. So that's the greatest mind fuck of all, is that he's actually throwing for a lot of yards and throwing a lot of touchdowns, but he's also throwing a shit ton of interceptions and a lot of turnovers. And so you don't know what to do with it. It just confuses you from top to bottom. So.
What's interesting, though, is that and I was nervous all game.
Yeah.
Because it's a division game. And because you gave the Eagles the business. They just what they have, and we'll talk about the Eagles first here. Yeah. They are a slot, but it's what I said last week. They are a drunken master, meaning that and you're taking punches to the face, but when it's time to get serious, a switch flips and they hit you with the most bizarre, and it's not plays that necessarily look sloppy, but out of nowhere it goes from be you know what I'm saying? Just a very, and I'm like, it's frustrating because it is there without a shadow of a doubt. Even though I think the Niners are more physical than them, the Eagles are the best team in the league. Period. That's you can't deny that anymore.
I think they're certainly the most resilient, if nothing else. Winston, just when you think they're out, they find a way to climb back in. They did it last week, Kansas City. They did it again against these Bills. And I texted you and Mark at halftime when Jalen had 33 yards passing and 100 yards of total offense for the Eagles, and they were getting beat at home. And I texted Winston and Ellis, and I said, I knew I should have started CJ Stroud over Jalen Hurts.
And then you hit me back at the end of the game. Never mind.
He had almost 40 points of fantasy. And then I'm crushing my matchup this week. So it was, you just can't tell with these Eagles. And they're definitely a 4-quarter football team, which means you got to put them away every quarter or else they're going to find a way to come back on you. And we're going to talk about all that for sure here on the show, which will remind you all, the Streamlabs are open. Send in your support. Send in your love for us as we do the show. Please, we appreciate it. We'd love to hear from you. Hit a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that yet. But we got a lot of sports to get into today, so let's not waste any time here. As Winston teased, we're starting with the Eagles here. Jalen Hurts threw for 3 touchdowns and 200 yards passing. Finally, ran for 2 touchdowns. But he did have 1 interception in the end here in a matchup of 2 of the most dynamic offenses in the NFL right here. But they got the job done in overtime, 37-34. Jalen Hurts running in the game-winning touchdown himself, almost doing a little Cam Newton with the Superman reaction there at the end. Josh Allen did what he could for these Bills. He threw for 339 yards and 2 touchdowns, ran for 81 yards and 2 scores, and it still wasn't enough for the Buffalo Bills to beat these Eagles. I saw a lot of people come for Josh Allen, but then a lot of people pushed back on that and said that it's the Bills, it's McDermott. It's not Josh Allen that's the issue, but the Eagles find a way to win. Winston, what are your thoughts about this game and these 2 teams?
It's a team issue. The entirety of the Bills. I know you're a big Bills Mafia fan. I had fun when we had a homie on here.
Yeah, Del Reed.
It's a team issue. It's time to blow up the Bills. If we're being honest, I'm dead serious, because it's always them and the Chargers.
Yep.
The Chargers at least have kind of made it very clear that they really have to blow up. I think it's mainly a Staley issue, but like we're at that point now where Justin Herbert doesn't get to be called like that guy anymore. People are like, no, he's got the talent. The Bills, here's the issue with the Bills is that they're very similar to the Chargers, where like one part of their game will be firing in all cylinders, but then another part will fall apart. Like I heard Joy Taylor from Speak talking about that about the Chargers, but I could say the same about the Bills. It's either Josh Allen wants to throw the ball away a bajillion times,
right,
or the receiving core wants to disappear, or the defense wants to just give like, because with a performance like that, you would expect the Bills. I understand that the Eagles offense is very good.
Yeah.
But if Josh Allen is giving an MVP caliber game, the least you could ask is don't let the Eagles score 37 points, especially not being up as much as they were in the half.
Yeah.
Like that's the problem.
Yeah.
That's the problem, is that like Josh Allen set them up to win. Like for all of the gunslinging, he turns the ball over problems, for them not to be able to put that away. Because now you're looking at what here? They had the one interception.
Yeah.
And then they didn't lose any of the fumbles that they lost. If anything, they recovered a fumble off of Jalen Hurts. So like you won the turnover battle.
Yeah.
This is now a problem with the team as a whole. They cannot get it done, which is so ironic because for the sloppy play of the Eagles, which is constantly sloppy, if we're being honest, the difference is they figure it out. Figure it out every game. That's why they're on a 9-game winning streak. Like that. Maybe it's not 9. I don't remember when they ultimately lost, but it doesn't matter. My point is that they're 10-1.
Yeah, they're 10-1. They lost to the Jets about 6 weeks
halfway.
ago. So,
yeah. So, but they're on a what? 1, 2, 3, 4. They're on a 5-game winning streak.
They've had 2 separate 5-game winning streaks so far in the season.
Here's what I'm hoping.
Yeah.
Because I thought the Bills and the Chiefs would be enough to rock the Eagles, and unfortunately, neither of them can get it done.
Yeah.
And the Chiefs, we've talked about this. Patrick Mahomes will always give you the out, but if you don't have the receivers, good luck. And I hope you sent me that tweet. We'll talk about the Chiefs in a minute. You sent me that tweet about Patrick Mahomes is hanging with the receivers. Did he also like, as a present to his receivers, buy them new hands? Because I don't know how that's going to necessarily help. Because it's really not even a timing thing.
Yeah.
Like all of these are dropped catches. They're not like I zigged and I was supposed to zag, so the ball went over there and I'm over here. It's I hit you in your hands and you said, oh. It's literally what's happening to them. It'll be like, hey, who is the star of Scarface? And you'd be like, man, that's easy. Robert De Niro. Fuck, wait. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Giancarlo Stanton. I mean, Esposito. Oh no. Exactly. Yes.
Don't tell Peter. You know what I'm saying? Like
right.
I love you, my guy. I love you. It's and that's what's crazy is that the Eagles don't have that. They screw up all game. And truthfully, I thought we were going to beat them when we played them, because it came down to that. We were rolling and they were making all these penalties. And then lo and behold, 2 sacks back to back that just couldn't be overcome. And that was it. So like, I do think they're about to go on a 2-game losing skid. I think they're going to lose. I do think they're going to lose to the Niners. I do think they're going to lose to us. I think they still end up taking the number 1 seed and the division title. I because I don't see them losing to the Seahawks, the Giants, the Cardinals, or the Giants. They're not losing any of the rest of those games. I think they lose the next 2, and that's probably good for them, because then that way you kind of get that out of your system.
Right.
But I think that's it. I don't think they lose any games after these next 2 weeks.
Well, I hear you, and I don't think I don't agree with you. I think they're gonna beat the 49ers in Philadelphia, because the 49ers have been talking all that stuff, and certainly I've been one of those people, and many pundits have been one of those people talking about how if Brock Purdy had played, I think you agree with this too, if Brock Purdy had played last year in the NFC Championship game, it might have been a victory for the 49ers. The Eagles are already taking that as bulletin board material. I think one of the defenders, I think one of their defensive linemen said, these guys have been chirping all year or all these last few months that if Brock Purdy had played, it'd be a different result. Well, now Brock Purdy is healthy. They're on a winning streak. They're coming into our house, and let's see what you got. So this is going to be, I think, knockdown, smash mouth football. And maybe, just maybe, the Eagles were overlooking the Bills a little bit as they were getting ready for these 49ers, who they see as more of a challenge within their own conference. So I think it's going to be an interesting game, but I think the Eagles are going to show up and deliver maybe their most complete game of the season against these 49ers. And then we'll see what happens in Dallas. It is going to be an interesting game. But if they make it through all four of these games, Chiefs, Bills, 49ers, and Cowboys in a row and win all four, then at that point, 100%, they have solidified themselves as the best team in football ready to go and get that chip, man.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
The winning pedigree and the solidarity and that we've made it to the Super Bowl is in the Eagles' blood. However, we have to remember that the Niners have gone to the Super Bowl, twice in the last, similar to the Eagles, twice in the last 6 years. The only difference is the Eagles took one.
True.
And the Niners didn't.
Right.
But if we're just looking pound for pound, if we're just looking at just personnel, you go with Hurts, he's the better of the two quarterbacks, but just statistically, Purdy has done better. But I would take Hurts. You take McCaffrey over Swift all day, every day, no problem. And the proof of that is 11 touchdowns to 4 and 939 yards over 770.
Yeah.
If you're taking AJ Brown and Smith versus Ayuk and Metcalf.
Yeah.
And then I don't even know who the replacement tight end is right now for the Eagles versus Kittle. You take the receiving core of the Niners. I understand AJ 100%. Brown is a bad man, but he's been very invisible the last few weeks because people have decided, fine, you're going to have to beat us other way. And Devontae Smith has stepped up.
Yeah, he has. Yeah.
But Ayuk has been on a tear. Yeah. Debo is still Debo. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And then the bigger thing above all else, you take Trent Williams is insane. To show how him not being out was such a thing. And now that he's back, Purdy is doing whatever he wants.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? And the other thing about it too, the Eagles, while they have the pedigree to just win, I don't. So I'm giving them that edge as the best team in football, period. The one difference that has been very interesting with the Niners commandingly win when they play teams that are good teams. They beat the brakes off of Jacksonville. They beat the brakes off of us. They embarrassed Seattle. I'm saying the Niners are out here taking the best teams in the league and making them go cry home to their mama. You know what I'm saying? The Eagles aren't doing that. They're frustrating the fuck out of you. It feels very like Clubber Lang or Drago is the Niners, and the Eagles are Rocky, which is ironic being from Philly, where it's like sometimes they're dominant, but sometimes they're barely winning fights. They're winning. They're winning. So you can't take that away from them. Right. But they're not Rocky at his peak, where he's done that extra training. You're kind of, barely escaping these men. Hey, it might be time to retire. That's but they're the best team in football. Let's call it as it is. The Eagles are the best team in football. I hate to say it, but it's the truth.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think if the Eagles are starting to feel more and more like the best team in football, to me, as much as I love the 49ers, it seems to be the Eagles are the way to go with this thing. So I'm a fan of what's happening there. I like that they've got guts, they got moxie. But you're right. When we're going to see next week when they play each other, which is going to win? Are the 49ers going to come in and smash? Just knock the brakes off of them, or are the Eagles going to grind out a 32-31 victory here over these 49ers and frustrate them even more? Because Winston, this could be a great mental edge if they meet each other in the NFC Championship game. We beat you with Purdy and without Purdy. Let's go. And the Eagles, I think, really want to get that home field advantage, because going out to play in San Francisco, that's not an easy thing to do So why not keep it at home and have them play in the rain and the wind and the snow of the East Coast in December, rather than having them out there in January, rather than having them out there on the West Coast. So I think it's a smart move by Philadelphia to try and get that the home field advantage. Yeah.
The other thing that I think is working against them, and it's why the London games are silly, especially when you're forcing a West Coast team to do it. But
yeah,
there is something to be said that San Francisco has to travel to the other side of the country, and everything is earlier.
Yeah. To
the point where I'm actually surprised, also knowing how big of I get why they probably didn't let them do a morning game for that exact reason.
Yeah.
But I'm surprised that with as big of a marquee game it is, that they haven't already started the protocol of flexing and moved this to Sunday Night Football. Because what's the Sunday Night Football game?
Let's see.
Because I guarantee you it's not worth our time the way that this is.
Yeah, that's a good point. Let me see. The Sunday night game for next week is Wait, no, that was yesterday.
Green Bay and Kansas City.
Green Bay and Kansas City. Yeah,
dude. Yeah. Move that game and put Philly, San Francisco, because here's the thing. I know Green Bay is a little bit on a roll, and they might actually upset the Lions based off of how the Lions have decided they maybe don't want it anymore and they want to return back to the Lions of old.
Yeah.
But with Green Bay going up and with Kansas City trying to figure out, am I going to figure it out? Yes, interesting, but not even remotely close to interesting of San Francisco, Philly. I'm the number of games here. I'm trying to see what else would be. That's the only one. That's
the only marquee game.
That's the only marquee game that's worth anybody's salt at this particular moment. Is San Francisco, Philly, and I truly believe I'm getting real tired of these solo games, the Thursday, Monday, and Sunday night games.
Yeah,
having shitty matchups. Yesterday's matchup was awful.
It was bone dead awful, dude. Agreed. I couldn't believe it.
So bad.
Yeah.
But I see some people saying Fox wants the ratings for the game of the week. Here's the problem. There's the reason why I think you want that game to be flexed to Sunday night. It is the only time where it is guaranteed everyone around the country will watch the game because of fucking regional rights and bullshit.
Yeah.
A lot of people are not going to, for example, if I didn't have Sunday Ticket, I'd be furious because the Rams, unfortunately, are playing tomorrow.
Right.
Where tickets against Cleveland, tickets are as low as $53. You know what I'm saying? Whereas the lowest ticket for Philly, San Francisco is $291. But you know what I'm saying? Regionally, I will not get that game, unfortunately.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's true. Well, let me ask you, do you think, real quick before we move off this game, Josh Allen, do we blame him for this? I mean, it seems like he did everything he could. Is this a McDermott issue? Is he being wasted there in Buffalo? Because he's having statistically one of the best seasons of his career, yet the Bills are in danger of missing the playoffs. And it isn't like Josh Allen hasn't made mistakes at critical moments. He threw that interception in the fourth quarter. But then McDermott, with 20 seconds left in the game, kneels on the ball when they have a timeout in 20 seconds. And you have I remember they scored in 13 seconds against the Chiefs. So or the Chiefs scored against them in 13 seconds. So it is possible to score in 20 seconds if you've got a high-powered offense. So do you think there's just issues going on from the coaching staff down, or is this a Josh Allen issue?
It's going to be really sad when the Bills don't make the playoffs because they're not going to. If anything, let's see.
Denver is absolutely taking their spot. 100% Denver is getting in the playoffs.
Dude, they might end up with a losing record. It's that bad because your remaining schedule, Chiefs, Cowboys, Chargers, Patriots, Dolphins. I expect you to fully beat the brakes off the Chargers and the Patriots.
Sure.
But those three games, one, Miami wanting to it's the last game of the year, but wanting to fully solidify and go into the playoffs with confidence, the division title.
Yep.
The Chiefs have to win this game.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Because 100%. Their mindset is all sorts of effed up.
Yeah.
Right now. So they have to win this game.
Yep.
And we also have to win this game. And the problem is, I understand that the Bills also have to win it. That's kind of how that works. But the difference is, I think the Cowboys trying to fight for pole position is a little bit stronger than the Bills trying to even make the playoffs because they're in disarray. You got to hope that whatever happens if you're a Bills fan, because I don't want them to beat us. But if you're a Bills fan, you got to hope that this bye week gives you some time, because at least now they have their bye.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Well, let me ask you this about this other. This is the controversy that went on here at the Bills-Eagles game. I don't know if you saw this. Of course, we know Eagles fans, as both of us NFC East dwellers in that division, we know how shitty Eagles fans can be. I was born in Philly, but I wasn't raised in Philly. But I'm aware of Eagles fans and how tough they can be. But we got this video that popped up. This is a big drama going on here. Shaq Lawson from the Bills confronts a fan in the stands for something it seems like that he is saying to him, and there is a shove. So let's take a look at this video. And Shaq Lawson, after this, has said that he shouldn't have done this, but that the man was saying some derogatory comments about his family. But let's take a look at this. And you see him coming up to him and look, and this guy, he's pointing, he's putting his hands up, and then he gets shoved by Lawson and immediately calls for security like a little bitch to go and protect him. So for me, I got no, you're going to talk your shit. I get it. You're a fan. When a player comes up and confronts you and you're going to act like you're big time and you're tough and all this shit because you know that player can't touch you, then the second he touches you, you start crying for security. Fuck your little whiny bitch ass for this nonsense. I hate that Shaq Lawson is being put in trouble with the NFL. Probably going to be fine because you don't want players hitting fans in the stands. But at some point, Winston, enough is enough. I mean, Russell Westbrook went at a Clippers fan yesterday during the game as well. So this keeps happening. This is just the latest example that we've seen. What do you think of this? What's your feeling on this?
I mean, my feeling is I know Philly fans.
Yeah.
Fuck that shit. Philly is better than Boston, but not by much. like I guarantee you that dude was yelling all sorts of N-words and I'm a fuck your wife and nah, fuck that. And what pisses me off about it, there's gonna be a bunch of Philly fans be like, oh, the little pussy ass motherfucker, etc. Nah, fuck that shit, bro. I wish for the fine. I wish he had, if he's gonna get sued too, I wish he had knocked that bitch out. Yeah. I guarantee you that man was saying awful shit because nobody is walking up to you because you're just like, you suck, we're beating your ass. I guarantee you, if that's what it is, then we need to have a conversation about Lawson and like, fuck you. I guarantee you, people think because they're in the front row and they paid that money for that ticket and they're wasted on fucking White Claws that they can say whatever they want to people. And then to see then folks be like, oh man, he's soft though. What a soft ass player, man. They're soft. Way to get in their head, dude. Fuck you. There's a reason of all the three teams. I may hate the Commanders because that's our like rivalry. That those two teams are like that, and I may have beef with the Giants because hey, it's New York, baby. Like the Giants think their shit don't stink. But I hate Philly fans.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about the color green and being from the Northeast that you just become a piece of shit. But Celtics fans, Eagles fans, absolute fucking trash. And I guarantee you. And like the funny thing is watching this video, man. Like I've got it on.
Yeah.
He literally. Like this. You're a bitch. I can't see what he said, but he's essentially almost kissing him the way he's derogatorily talking to him. And all of them are sitting here fine, be like, ha ha ha. And the minute he pushes,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And just to clarify, 97, that's Jordan Phillips who's walking up and confronting him. And it's Shaq Lawson who's next to him on his right, who shoves the fan. And so Lawson is the one that's getting in trouble, not 97, the one wearing the cap. He does not shove the fan. But both of them came out with statements after the game and said that Shaq Lawson said, those of you who know me know that I'm all about the fans. I have a lot of respect for the game. I play and my opponents before the game started. This is before the game even started is when this happened. Yesterday, there was a fan behind our bench who was making life-threatening remarks towards us and our families. And they said, we asked Philadelphia security to remove the fan, but he was allowed to stay for the entire game. Eventually, our emotions boiled over, and I made a mistake. For that, I apologize. So Apparently this started before the game, but this video seems like from his statement that this happened after the game was over or near the end of the game.
People are still in the field,
just
so it's
about
near
enough.
the end. Yeah.
Right. Just about enough. And Jordan Phillips said the same thing, that he was threatening his
I am of the mindset.
Yeah.
Because the only thing you have protecting you is the idea that you're a player and I'm a fan.
Right, exactly. You won't cross this line. Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah.
But there is a very interesting thing that my mom actually reiterated. I heard it from somewhere else, but she agreed with this about like the idea of you're not supposed to hit women. You never do it. You never do it.
Of course. Yeah.
But that doesn't give you carte blanche then to do everything to push somebody to the edge, because you don't know how somebody else was raised. You don't know what's going on through their head. Right. So my mom made it very clear to my sisters. They're being like, yes, a man should never put hands on it, and looked at me and said, and if anybody puts their hands on your sister, you go fuck them up. However, you don't go out here running your mouth like that, because you do not know how that person is raised and where their mindset is. So this idea, yes, you do not put your hands on a fan. You don't do it.
Right.
However, if you do that, you need to understand that could be it, motherfucker.
Yeah.
That could be it. He's not supposed to do that, but you don't know where his head's at.
Right.
You don't know what's going on. And especially if you're saying the most foul, heinous shit.
Yeah. Well, and you're threatening his family. And if that's
what I mean by
and you got that going on. Yeah, that's too far. Like, say what you want about the guy, his record, his playing style, his college, whatever, but you start threatening his life, threatening his family's life, that's enough. And I think this needs to be outlawed in all of these stadiums, like all this kind of stuff. I mean, because I've been in stadiums. One of the reasons I don't go to live stadiums anymore is because you hear the most horrific shit. I mean, watching a Dodgers-Giants game, that is one of the most unsettling experiences you can have. The amount of vitriol that comes pouring out of Dodgers fans towards the San Francisco players, towards their families, towards the fans families, like Giants fans that are in the stands. Like, it is insane, some of the shit. And it's a fucking game. And so these people feel like I can unleash this anger at someone and they can't do anything to me. And I think that's such a mistake, and especially with fans, because it's clearly frustration and jealousy because you weren't good enough to be on that field. So you want to go at these guys to make yourself feel like a big man when you're actually a really small little man in this whole situation. And it's hard for them, and we deal with it too. Winston, at times on social media, people thinking they feel like they're big time, and you got to smack them down sometimes.
Because the other thing too that people don't remember, this isn't like when people are like, oh, those players are soft. It's one thing if it's like it has happened one time.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
I guarantee you this has happened a number of times to players. Sure. If you need proof of that, look at how Madison up in Minnesota.
Right.
Oh, that's his own fans telling him to kill himself.
Yeah.
That's not you have to remember, and this they get paid millions. Suck a dick. I don't give a fuck. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You are not allowed to do that.
Yeah.
You are not allowed. Now, mind you, if you want to freedom of speech, if you want to run your mouth on the internet, you still look like a piece of shit for doing that. But once you are directly talking to, you're tagging, DMing, screaming from the sideline, you bitch, I'm talking about you.
Yeah.
Then let's talk, bitch. Come on. Let's fucking talk then. Let's go. Like,
exactly. It's unnecessary. It's a shame to see it. Let's take a quick break, and we're going to jump into the rest of the NFL games here as we spent some time on the first game here. We're right back right after this. All right, Winston, let's move on to the shittiest part of the show today. The Dallas Cowboys on Thanksgiving Day absolutely demolished my Commanders 45-10. Dak Prescott, who's looking more and more every week like he's humbly, quietly putting a great season together, threw for 331 yards in his fifth consecutive game with at least 2 touchdown passes, which is one shy of his career best. Rico Dowdle, I didn't even know who Rico Dowdle was. Brandon Cooks and Kevontae Turpin all had scoring touchdowns. Bland, who was the defensive back there, he got himself an NFL record 5th interception for a touchdown return here. And right as Howell was trying to throw the game away, he intercepted it and took it. And the Cowboys extended their longest home winning streak in 42 years to 13 by beating these Commanders on Thanksgiving Day. And as I said at the beginning of the show, Sam Howell threw for 300 yards, had a rushing touchdown, and Curtis Samuel got 100 yards receiving. So in the end of the day, it's kind of insane how bad we got beat in this game, but we did not show up to play. And at the end, not only did people jump into the Salvation Army fucking bucket, they also pulled out some turkey legs and ate some turkey legs after the final touchdown, which was more salt to the wound there of that game. So, Winston, what do you say? Usually these rivalry games are close between us, but this one was an absolute whooping. What are your thoughts coming out of this game?
I mean, I have so many. The first is the applause that Deron Bland deserves.
Deron Bland,
and what's really interesting is people are attempting to slander him the way they slandered Trayvon Diggs.
Really?
When he had that season where he had all of those interceptions and he almost broke the record for most interceptions in a season by an individual player. He was short by I think 2 or 3, if that much. But he broke the Cowboys record for most by a player in a season. They tried to be like, well, he's actually trash. Look at these big plays he gives up, blah, 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 blah. But the funny thing is, if you go and look at Deron Bland, people don't actually know how to read stats for defensive backs.
Right.
Because the truth is, nobody throws his direction because he continues to run it back for points. So the one pass that they beat us on to Devontae Smith in that Cowboys-Eagles game a couple weeks ago, that was one pass that was a perfect pass. It had to be a perfect pass and the perfect catch in order to beat him. And it wasn't like a Deron fucked up his coverage, he fell over anything. Right. It's that just like anything in life, a 10 out of 10 offense versus a 10 out of 10 defense, because of the nature of it, the offense will win because defensively, you're already at a disadvantage of you're backpedaling, you're reacting versus acting. So the absolute best offense, if it's at its absolute peak, if it's at a 10 out of 10 and you have a 10 out of 10 defense, the offense will win. If it's like a 10 defense and a 9 offense, even a 9.9 offense, the defense will win. But if all things are equal, it is what it is. So miss me with that, right?
Yeah.
So Ron Bland deserves all of the praise in the world for what he just did. I cannot wait. I want to win this year, but I cannot wait for next year. We have Micah Parsons, Deron Bland, and fucking Diggs. Oh my God.
Yeah. It's unsettling.
But I think my best takeaway from this is a statement that Dak put out, I think, yesterday, where he said they were asking, be like, how does it feel? Like you're on a roll. You're multiple 300-yard game, multiple 4+ touchdown games. How do you feel? Right. And Dak's like, I ain't done shit yet. I ain't done shit. That is what I needed to hear from him.
Yeah.
That is, bro, I sent you the tweet. My man is about to be a dad. He's about to be a girl dad.
It's true.
My guy is playing for something different right now.
Yeah.
And that is a beautiful thing. McCarthy has found the right place for him. This feels very reminiscent to me of when the Packers won the Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers. Because if I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure that they were a wild card. I could be wrong. I'm going to look it up.
Yeah.
This is giving me like 2011 Super Bowl vibes.
Interesting. Okay.
And because that was the thing. If I remember, the Green Bay Packers were not the favorite that year at all.
No.
2011 playoffs NFL. I'll look it up real quick. But it would be 10-11. Not whoops, I got that backwards. Okay, here we go.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's see the standings. So the Packers were the last seed, bro.
Yeah, I know they got in by beating the Bears on that incredible throw by Aaron Rodgers in the final seconds of the game. I remember
beat the brakes off of Philly 21-16. Seattle had that was the beastquake that Seattle ended up beating New Orleans that year.
New Orleans, yeah, great.
Then they went and manhandled Atlanta, who was the number 1 seed, 48-21, and then beat Chicago, like you said, beat Chicago in the NFC Championship game by a touchdown, and then took Pittsburgh. Like they just genuinely had the right sauce at the right time, and the play from Aaron Rodgers was the same. Where you're seeing this, there's just something in my gut that's ruminating right now that just feels like this is what is on the table potentially, because we're not. I want us to win the division. I don't think we will.
I don't see anybody in the AFC who is at the Cowboys level. I don't.
In the AFC?
I don't see anybody. Not Baltimore, which has a lot of questions around it. Not Kansas City, which has a lot of questions around it. Not whoever else is up there. I think Pittsburgh is 7-4, which is fucking weird. But like nobody in the AFC that I see, would I take over the Cowboys at this point? The way the Cowboys are slowly putting it together, both on the offensive side of the ball and the defensive side of the ball. And so to me, the Cowboys are rounding into form at the right time, which is rare because usually they round into form too early. And I think they're rounding into form at the right time.
Dude,
and you might be right. This is going to be a fun NFC playoffs, man.
I'll tell you this much.
Yeah.
I want to say that it's us that goes the distance and wins this thing, but I'll tell you this. The Super Bowl is not being won by an AFC team.
Yeah, I don't think so.
It will be won by an NFC team. It'll either be the Eagles, it'll be the Niners, it'll be the Cowboys. For the love of God, don't let it be the other two. But it's not going to be won by an AFC team. The AFC, and it's funny because I remember everybody being like, man, all the best quarterbacks over the AFC stacked that I'm on. But the thing is, they're not doing this in the way where it's like, God damn, they're balling out of control. Their identities are all over the place.
Yeah.
All over the place.
That's what I mean. And that's what I look at because it's Baltimore, Kansas City. Then you got Jacksonville, who it's Jekyll and Hyde. Miami, who hasn't beaten a team with a winning record, unless you include the Raiders, I guess. Pittsburgh is 7-4. They're the 5th seed in the AFC right now is Pittsburgh. All right. And that to me is an interesting thing to look at. So, but I'm looking at the Eagles, the 49ers. I might even take the Lions over some of the AFC teams that are up there in the top half of the bracket, then the Cowboys. And so to me, that's the thing that I agree with you. I think looking at it, I think the NFC is going to win the Super Bowl this year because I was rewatching last night. I was rewatching the highlights of the Kansas City Chiefs getting beat by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I mean, getting absolutely embarrassed in that Super Bowl. And I get it. We're missing 2 offensive starters and like, sure. But like the defense there dialed into what Patrick was doing and shut down everything he was trying to do. They called a great game plan. And I have a feeling that the defensive side of things on the NFC, on the Eagles, the 49ers, and the Cowboys are really ready for anything that is on the offensive side of the ball on the AFC. Because you're right. Everything people have talked about is the AFC stacked with quarterbacks. Nobody goes, the AFC is stacked with defenses. And so that's the difference there. And I know the Kansas City defense is playing really well, but their receivers are suspect. And I'm not going to trust those receivers versus the Cowboys cornerbacks in a Super Bowl. That's for sure.
The 2 best defenses in the AFC are
it's got to be the Chiefs.
The Chiefs and the Browns, but the Browns don't have a quarterback anymore, and so that's putting a lot of pressure on them. So that's going to self-destruct over time, and it already has started to.
Yeah, they lost their rookie quarterback to a concussion. Yeah,
the Chiefs, that defense and Patrick Mahomes will keep you in, but again, if you're in a situation where the Chiefs are down, which means you have to throw the ball because you don't have enough time to run it.
Yeah,
you got to hope that either Taylor Swift is there or that the receivers, again, they were bought cybernetic hands to start catching balls.
Yeah.
The Ravens are scary. I'll be honest. The Ravens are scary. There are things that they could work on for sure, but Lamar, like the fact that Odell is having a resurgence and it's happening at the time that it is happening, that he can get into a groove. If he doesn't get hurt, between him and Flowers, they're really making up for what is missing out of Mark Andrews, and that needs to be acknowledged. Like, I'm not
sure.
I just don't believe in the Ravens the way that I see the Eagles, Niners, or the Cowboys handling business. I don't. I know that they're whooping ass on these teams, but like, who did they just play?
The Ravens.
Mm-hmm.
We have at the end of the thing, they played the Chargers.
It's the Chargers. Who
120-10. Yeah.
It's the Bengals. The Bengals. Joe Burrow died. So okay, you know what I'm saying? But like, I think the Seahawks were fool's gold. I think we know that the Cardinals aren't good, and we had a very bad game against them. The Lions, we're now starting to go, are the Lions good or not? Like, the most impressive wins I see out of them for sure are the Browns win that happened early on, the 28-3 win there.
You talking about the Ravens?
Yeah.
But then they got beat by the Browns 3 weeks ago.
Right.
They blew a 13-point fourth quarter lead.
No. I know, but that's what I'm saying. So their best wins, in my opinion, are that Browns win early on.
Yeah.
The Lions win for sure because of how dominating it was. Like, 'cause the Lions are still a good team. They're a playoff team. They're still geared to win their division. They could lose it, but like right now where they're at. So like the Ravens have some good ass wins on them. I just when they're good, they're great. When they're bad, they're like, what the fuck is happening?
Right. I just don't trust Lamar. Lamar has not shown me that I can trust him in the playoffs. He hasn't. I think he's won once in the playoffs.
Same could be said about Dak.
Yeah, but I feel like Dak's got more years on Lamar. Dak is more of a standard quarterback. He's not a running quarterback.
2 games.
So I just feel like I've got more confidence in the time that Lamar has been there. Oh, I'm sorry, the Dak has been there than I do Lamar. So just kind of looking at the teams themselves.
It's also just the fact that, again, to my knowledge, I don't think Lamar has won. He's 1-3. He's won one playoff game.
One playoff game. I remember that. I think it was the Titans. They beat.
It was against the Titans. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but he lost to the Chargers. He lost to the Titans, and he lost to Buffalo.
Right.
At least Dak, even though he's been around a little bit longer, has 2 playoff wins. There's that, I guess. But
I think he's lost to the eventual Super Bowl champion every time he's lost a playoff game.
Is that what that means? Is Dak actually like the?
I mean, that matters.
I'm just laughing because let's take a look. I'll pull this up real quick. So yeah, he's 2-4. So lost to Green Bay in 2017. They did not go to the Super Bowl.
Oh, I thought
lost to Seattle in 2019.
Wow,
or they beat Seattle. They beat Seattle. Lost to the Rams in 2019. They should never have been in the Super Bowl.
Right.
But
that call.
And then horrible play. Yeah. Lost to the Niners in the wild card round 2 years ago, or last year, 2 years ago. And they went to the Super Bowl but didn't finish.
Okay.
And then last year beat Tampa Bay, but then lost to San Francisco, who did not even make. They didn't make it. The Eagles irked them out. So like,
yeah,
then I'm glad. I don't want to just be like, oh, Dak just crowned the new Super Bowl champ. Like, fuck that. I want Dak to win. So
fair enough.
Gotta do it for his baby girl. Both his baby girls.
That's true. Well, let's move on to Sean Brennan's favorite part of the show here. Patrick Mahomes threw 2 touchdowns here, and the Chiefs rallied from 14 points down to the Raiders to win the game here, 31-17. Mahomes passed for 298 yards, 2 touchdowns here. This also, Andy Reid won his 125th career game as the Chiefs coach, passing Hank Stram, the great Hank Stram from the old days, who I think was the last time the Chiefs won. Oh, I know. I guess this before Mahomes, the last time the Chiefs won a Super Bowl was under Hank Stram. Hank Stram also made Reid the first NFL coach, Andy Reid, to hold the distinction for 2 teams. He won 130 games in Philadelphia himself. But really crazy that Kansas City fell behind 14-0 to the Antonio Pierce coached and led Las Vegas Raiders, but then pulled away after halftime. Isaiah Pacheco played a fantastic game, rushing for 2 touchdowns. Rashee Rice, who I sat on my bench on fantasy to play Tyler McLaurin. What a stupid decision that was.
No. That was a great decision. It just didn't work out.
It did work out. He caught 8 passes for 107 yards and a touchdown. But on the other side, Josh Jacobs ran for 110 yards and a touchdown. The Raiders were looking to end a 12-game streak in which the Chiefs did not allow. Oh, the Raiders ended a 12-game streak for the Chiefs where they had not allowed a rusher over 100 yards. Las Vegas's quarterback Aiden O'Connell threw for 248 yards and a touchdown. So this was a good victory for the Chiefs. Their offense finally showed up. As I tweeted at you, Mahomes maybe doing that extra work with the receivers, which I suggested a couple of weeks ago, maybe has paid dividends here for the Chiefs and for Mahomes, but they get the victory. It's their 6th win over the Raiders in a row, and they've beaten them 16 out of the last 18 times they've played them. Holy God. So your thoughts on this game, man, coming out? What do you think of these Chiefs coming out of this game?
I'm not going to give the receiving core of Kansas City any praise here because this is your job that you should have been doing in the first place.
Right.
You want to, it's like you want to, I was going to say, you want a cookie for doing your job. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you're getting paid a very, very high allowance. You need to do your chores. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like your allowance is 7 to 8 figures. Do your job. So I'm glad that they figured it out, and that's not great to go to be down like that to the Raiders. But here we are. Good win. Keep it rolling. Like the Chiefs are still dangerous.
Of course.
The one thing that we've said above all else is just that if they want to go the distance, they have to correct some things. And I think this is the type of win that puts some hair on your chest, that like gives you that confidence to have some swagger going into it going forward. But I will notice that Valdez-Scantling was targeted one time, and it had -1 yards.
Yeah.
So the Marquise Valdez-Scantling era might be over soon if this is what's going on.
Yeah. Rashee Rice 8 catches for 107 yards and a touchdown. Kelsey had 6 catches for 91 yards. If they can get Rashee going, who has been playing well all year, kind of separate himself from the rest of the pack of their receivers, it'll at least give him one other receiver besides Travis Kelsey that Mahomes
you need a solid 3 options. You need one superstar, and you have that in Kelsey. You need one person that is like, when the superstar is triple covered, they'll handle their business, and I'm glad to see that in Rice. And then you need like a security blanket just in case, as far or a safety valve, I would say. Typically that's your tight end that does that, but like obviously Kelsey plays more like a receiver. So you just need one more option that can like really be counted upon. Because if you look at any great team, that's exactly what it is. So you look at the Niners. They got 4 options because McCaffrey can catch out of the backfield, but Debo, Ayuk, Kittle, McCaffrey. You only need 3. You need 1 stellar, 1 good, and 1 I can help you out, right? Cowboys, you got Lamb, stellar, like excellent. Ferguson has stepped up to be that guy, and now Cooks all of a sudden is catching shit. He's doing work, The Eagles, Brown, Smith. You used to have Goddard, but like Swift is like doing his thing, so he's good. You know what I mean? The Dolphins, between a Chain and Mostert, I mean, Chain has to come back, but Waddle and Hill being the superstar. So that has been the problem with Kansas City. You have one dude that has been doing it, and the minute I know that's all you have, he's catching double and triple coverage.
Yeah.
And yes, that would open other things up, but that's why it's been so embarrassing for the Chiefs, because it's not like the receivers haven't been beating that weak ass single coverage. They have been. Yeah. They're dropping passes. So I'm glad, again, I see Sean goes, Winston, they don't do their job. Wide receivers do their job. Winston. So yes, because it's your job. You don't get a cookie for doing your job. You get a cookie if you're like, Rice had a 250-yard 2-touchdown game. That's insane.
Right.
That's why we've been praising A.J. Brown for being on that tear. That's why we praised CeeDee Lamb for being on a tear. That's why we've praised Tyreek Hill, who might have a 2,000-yard fucking season.
Insane.
Because they're not just doing their job. They're doing their job to the state of excellence. That's the Chiefs graduated college, right? Fucking Tariq Hill is graduating summa cum laude. All right, there's a difference.
Yeah, I wonder about this whole situation too with the Chiefs because they've got, as you mentioned earlier, they got the Packers on Sunday night at Green Bay. So certainly
that should be a layup.
It's going to be competitive, sure, but they should get the victory. But then they have the Bills, the Patriots, the Raiders, the Bengals, the Chargers. None of those teams are really going to challenge the Chiefs. And so I think that's a bad slate of games to be ending your season because you're not really going to know what you got against tough competition when you're playing cupcakes like the Bengals are now without
Bills,
Joe Burrow.
The Bills and the Raiders. The Bills and the Raiders.
Shot, man.
I don't think the Bills win a game. But they did just put up 34 points.
And then lost.
I understand that they still put up 34 points, meaning that they can score. They can get in your head. Like, that's the thing. And they're on a bye now. Maybe this is when they finally figure their ish out. Maybe. I still think they're going to miss the playoffs, but like that's a test. And then the fact that you were down to the Raiders and you had to stage a comeback means that being a divisional rival, this is going to be a problem. So they have two solid games they got to deal with. If Burrow was there, obviously the Bengals would be
a different situation
for them to deal with.
Yeah, 100%.
But there's two solid games. And then I'll give you the Chargers one is also a little bit of a challenge, even though the Chargers are just doo-doo.
Yeah.
Divisional game. The fact, like I said, we played you.
Yeah.
And you stayed in it all game. I was frustrated all game, and then we turned it on at the very end to put you away.
Yeah.
So I think that there are three major tests left for the Chiefs. It's the Bills, the Raiders, and the Chargers, two of them being divisional games.
Yeah.
And that's it.
All right. If you say so. Yeah, the Chiefs have the fifth hardest schedule of 2023. Sean's wrong. It's the fifth highest, not the fourth hardest. The Patriots had the hardest schedule. The Raiders had the second hardest. Miami Dolphins
Patriots had the hardest?
Yeah, I don't know why. The Chargers, I think because of it was their turn against certain
It's against us. It's against our division. And like, that's the thing. I believe we all have just sexed mouth them.
The Chargers were the fourth and the Kansas City Chiefs were the fifth highest.
This is why the Falcons and the Saints can kiss my ass. The two easiest schedules, and they look they literally look like two little kids on a playground, like trying to fight each other. No, it's my ball. Like, Jesus. But also, wow, look at the Niners having the fourth easiest fucking schedule.
Yeah. What does that tell you?
Wild.
So, yeah, so it's going to be interesting. It's going to be real interesting to see what happens with these Chiefs as they go forward. But a good victory for them over these Raiders. And, Antonio Pierce, everybody said, we're going to see how he can really coach when the big teams show up. And certainly he's lost to the Chiefs now and lost to the Dolphins last week. So we'll see what happens. They've got the Vikings next, whose quarterback situation is an absolute trash heap now. Chargers. Then they got the Chiefs again in Kansas City. Then the Colts and the Broncos. So who knows? Maybe Antonio can get himself a few more victories before the year ends. But they're going to barely make it over 500, in my opinion. So we'll see what happens to those Raiders.
Yeah. I'm looking at this breakdown of the strength of schedule.
Yeah,
the Eagles were projected to get 10.87 wins.
Right.
You hit 10. Let's just stop right there. You're done. No more wins. You're done. Lose the rest of them. Go 10. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's go 10-7 for the Eagles, bro. Just lose out. That would be amazing. I would be so happy.
The Chiefs were predicted to have 11 victories this season, but 11.8, so closer to 12.
They can still do it.
I think they're going to go past 12 with the cupcakes they've got left. I think they're going to go past.
Let's see. The Niners were 10.6. They'll be fine, and the Cowboys are 9.7. So we get one more. Fuck you and your odds, baby.
It's true. We were projected at 6.6. The Commanders. We're gonna slide in right on time.
You know the real sad one? The Patriots are supposed to be 7.6.
Here's the sadder one. The Jets were predicted at 9.85 until Aaron Rodgers went down. Yeah, exactly.
And the Bills were supposed to be 10-8, and they're probably not gonna get there.
Oof, that's rough.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the 49ers here real quick. They beat the Seahawks, as we've already talked about here. McCaffrey had rushed for 114 yards and 2 scores in the first half. 49ers had a 21-point lead by halftime. This was a great way to end Thanksgiving night, just watching this game between these two teams here. And the 49ers took care of business, winning at 31-13. There wasn't really much question in this game. Even when the Seahawks made it a little bit closer, the 49ers still felt like they were in control of this game. They won their fourth straight against their division. Against the Seahawks, they won their fourth straight game. Against the Seahawks, they now have a 2-game lead over the Seahawks, and they've put together a 3-game winning streak to counter the 3-game losing streak they had going into the bye. Deebo Samuel ran for a touchdown. Brock Purdy was 15 of 20 for 209 yards. So not in the first half, and then ended up 21 of 30 at the end, but not the biggest situation there. Geno Smith, 18 of 27 for 180 yards, but some back-breaking interceptions. And they couldn't get anything going on offense in the long run. And they couldn't even score a touchdown. It took Brock Purdy's pick 6 for them to score a touchdown. So in the end, the 49ers defense handling their business yet again here. And another strong showing by them as they get into form heading into the end of the season here, man. What do you take away from this game?
I mean, I don't need to see any. He can remain this way this Thursday because there is about to be a civil war in my house.
Oh, no.
Because Kristen is a diehard Seattle Seahawks fan, so it's about to be a war. But I think the thing that makes me kind of sad about this, and again, not sad enough that it needs to change this week. It can change the week after.
Yes.
The Geno story was so compelling last year, and it was so interesting to see that kind of turnaround. But I think some things change and some things stay the same.
Yeah.
And he really his ceiling is kind of middle of the pack, and
things always regress to the median, man. Always.
It's Geno, Derek Carr, Josh Dobbs, where he's kind of fallen back down to earth. You know what I'm saying? They're more than good enough to be in the NFL. And they're even good enough to be starters, but they're not good enough to ever be MVP candidates. They're not good enough to even be in the top 10 conversation. They might be for a stretch,
right?
But it balances out one way or the other, you know. So that makes me sad, especially because fuck the Niners. Like, you know, like bang bang Niner gang on the Niners, like bang bang them. Like I'm not bang bang. So you know, I did bang bang. But it's a middle of the road victory. They got it done. The Seahawks have always been kind of pretenders this year, so I wasn't surprised by the loss. And the 49ers certainly that 3-game winning streak may have just woken them up and given them that little extra kind of don't take your foot off the gas motivation that you need as they head into the back half of their season, man. So it's gonna be fun. Yeah, dude, I'm out here looking at Sean talking about amazing how good Purdy looks when the rest of the Avengers show up. Okay, so Brock Purdy is fucking Hawkeye, and he's dealing with the Chitauri invasion. So yeah. He has to kind of do his thing, but you do need Iron Man and Hulk and Thor and Black Widow and Cap to help you sort all that shit out. You do. What do you want from me? Like, get out of here, bro. This is not they robbed a bank. Okay, this is a full blown invasion. So I don't know what you want me to say. Patrick Mahomes is out here looking like Superman, but Darkseid, Brainiac, all the homies showed up and they got kryptonite on his ass and he can't catch a breather. Like Superman can die. You just kind of have to mollywop him with people that can like do some damage and throw a little kryptonite in that motherfucker. And that's kind of what's happening right now. It's like if Travis Kelce is Lois Lane being like, hey, over here, motherfucker, that's not enough. Like, you need Batman to show up and Wonder Woman and the Flash. You can't do this by yourself.
And Sean and the Kansas City Chiefs fans are the same ones that'll tell you, oh, you know, we lost to the Buccaneers in the Super Bowl because we were missing 2 offensive linemen. So which is it? You can't say you're still a great team and complain about missing players, but then say that a team is only good because they have their players back. You know, you can't play both sides of the fence here. Be consistent in your criticism and in your praise. And that's the real way you got to look at these things, you know.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's move on to this barn burner of a game here. Trevor Lawrence led the Jaguars over CJ Stroud. These Texans Winston.
Can I have half a second before you finish that?
Yes, go ahead.
Sean is now saying it was 4 offensive linemen.
4.
Yeah, but you know what just happened? The goddamn Chiefs won the Super Bowl with Patrick Mahomes on one leg. So miss me with the excuses, because when they've been down and out, they've shown up before. Yeah. So he's right. Which is it? Is it a situation where they're good, or is it a situation where they're bad? Like you can't play the victim and claim victory at the same time. That's not how that works.
It's not how this works. It's not how any of this works. Exactly. All right. So 24-21 here for the Jaguars. This was kind of a disappointing game for me because I wanted the Texans to win this one. And now the Texans have a little less wiggle room here heading into the last few games of the season to get into these playoffs with this loss, because they play Denver this week, and Denver is looking really good now all of a sudden. So it's going to be an interesting game between those two guys. I want to definitely watch that game this weekend. But Trevor Lawrence threw for 364 yards here and a touchdown and led the Jags back and escaped with the victory because Matt Amendola's 58-yard field goal to tie the game and possibly send this thing into overtime bounced off the bottom upright there and bounced back into the field rather than over the upright, and the field goal did not count. But CJ Stroud did everything he could here, throwing for 304 yards and 2 touchdowns. He has now 3,266 passing yards this season to move past Justin Herbert for the most in NFL history by a rookie in his first 11 games. He also became the first rookie in the NFL history to throw for 300 yards in 4 consecutive games. No other rookie had ever done that in the history of the NFL. And the Texans had the lead a couple of times in this game, but in the end, the Jaguars kept coming back. So, and this was in Houston. So you got to give credit to the Jaguars for getting a really good victory here against a division opponent. But I don't know what you take away from the Texans. They certainly can hang with teams like the Jaguars, so they are ready to make that leap. Will they get enough victories to get into these playoffs? That's the question. Now, what do you think of this game, man?
You know, it's really interesting. I think the truth is, I understand they beat the Jaguars.
In Jacksonville.
Jacksonville.
Yeah.
But I think we have to put, like, as good of a season as CJ Stroud is winning or having.
Yeah.
There's a few things we got to talk about. First of all, they're going to make the playoffs. You think that this rookie quarterback is going to lead them to a Super Bowl victory? No. The Jaguars are a significantly better team.
It's true.
Honestly. And like whether or not I have a feeling that CJ Stroud will ultimately be a better quarterback than Trevor Lawrence. But Trevor Lawrence has experience. He has a team built around him that's actually pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Like I think I saw I think it was Rex Ryan was like, the only reason that we're not giving the Jaguars the respect that they deserve this season, because they have essentially the same record as like the Cowboys right now,
and the Chiefs,
and the Chiefs and the Niners, is because they have a Jaguar on their helmet. That's it. If this was the Bills, at this 8-3 like this, you'd be sucking their dick. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is what it is. The only reason we give the Chiefs as hard of a time as we give them is because we've seen them achieve like greatness. Greatness. Yeah. So there's just below their standards. I think that's the big thing that Sean keeps forgetting. We're not coming at the Chiefs as being scrubs. We're coming at them for not living up to their own reputation. Yeah. That is, you have set the bar at a 10, but you're playing at a 6 or a 7. I've seen you at 10 consistently, and you're down here.
If I go see a Robert De Niro movie, I don't expect a David Spade performance. So when I get a David Spade performance from a Robert De Niro film, I have questions. If I see a David Spade deliver a Robert De Niro performance, I'm going to give that way more attention and way more love than if I saw Robert De Niro deliver a David Spade performance. That's the difference.
For the Schmodown folks, if I am used to seeing Rocha going and doing Westerns and literally being perfect every time he gets Westerns, but then all of a sudden he's had to check down to multiple choice a few times, and not just that, he gave up some steals. All of a sudden I'm like, okay, I have watched you like literally do a whole Dolly Parton blow your ass away at 77 years old performance. What the fuck was that, Jack Harlow? You know what I'm saying? If all of a sudden you go from Dolly Parton to Jack Harlow, I'm confused because I'm like, I have seen you do this and do it consistently. What is going on? That is why we keep attacking the Chiefs, and we're not even attacking them. It's just you. It's just you're that person. Whenever Kobe effing Bryant, when he's out here dominating people, putting up 81-point games, got 5 rings. When Kobe's out here with a losing season, we're like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah. That's right. That's a fair point. Exactly. So we'll see what happens. Let's take a quick break. We're going to jump into the rest of the NFL and the rest of the games here on the other side of this, and send in your Streamlabs Super Chats. Of course, we'll also answer those on the other side of this break as well, right after this. All right.
I just saw some Rocha's talking about dirty grandpa for De Niro.
Yes, I am. But he was certainly chilling in Killers of the Flower Moon, so he knows when to turn it on and when not to turn it on.
And I appreciate his speech too. You noticed that Apple tried to edit him out.
I just retweeted it. Yeah, I retweeted it, dude. Great speech. Sean Brennan says, great job as always, Winston. Hello, Rocha. Schefter said he thinks 7 to 10 more head coaches might be gone after this season. Does that sound right to you? Who do you think is gone? Love you guys. Game time for life. Appreciate that, Sean. I appreciate you being a good-natured sport.
Absolutely.
For all the ribbon.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think he's right. 7 to 10 coaches seems about right. If you look at, if you look at the teams here near the bottom here, I think Antonio Pierce is not going to be brought back as the coach of the Raiders. I think Brandon Staley is in trouble with the Chargers for sure. McDermott might be in trouble with the Buffalo Bills. I would have said Sean Payton, but he's turned around those Broncos for sure. I think Vrabel still will hang around for another year. Saleh is going to get himself another year. Belichick is probably gone. Frank Reich has already been fired, which we're going to talk about a little bit later. The Saints coach might be gone as well. Don't be surprised if the Tampa Bay Buccaneers coach is gone by the end of the season. Daboll and Wink Martindale are fighting on the Giants sideline, kind of like Buddy Ryan and that dude, Kevin McBride, I think, who went to punches on the Houston Oilers sideline. So they could be, Daboll could be gone. The Chicago Bears head coach could be gone. So there's a lot of, and of course, Ron Rivera is absolutely fucking gone. So that's at least 7 to 10. What do you think, Winston?
McDermott.
Yeah.
Antonio Pierce.
Unfortunately,
Staley. Vrabel.
Vrabel,
out of Tennessee. Let's see.
Yeah, Eberflus from Chicago for sure.
We just fired Carolina, so we'll count that.
Yeah, Frank.
Chicago. How do you say it?
Eberflus. Yeah,
Eberflus.
Yeah. That's how I say it.
That's totally fine by me. Dennis Allen for sure gone.
Oh yeah.
Daboll might be gone.
Daboll's possibly gone.
Ron Rivera.
Totally gone. Gone.
And Bill Belichick. How did I miss that?
Yeah.
And then maybe O'Connell.
Oh, really? You think O'Connell?
Maybe
for the Vikings, right?
He may not because it's like, well, you lost Kirk.
Right.
But you went and got Dobbs, which is kind of already kind of returning to what it is. And the problem is he's been around for a little bit, hasn't he?
Yeah, yes, he has.
They have had winning seasons and blown it. And so it's like I would say like Saleh has a better chance of being fine because
I think so.
You lost Rodgers. That was the whole plan. They didn't handle the Zach Wilson thing, but I think maybe what that was, they didn't want to trade away any pieces that they think would be important for like the run with Aaron Rodgers. So it didn't make sense. It's like, let's just ride with what we got and hopefully that's enough.
Yeah.
But I think that the obvious one that's happening is Bill Belichick, and that's kind of sad.
And I think everything will. How can I say this? People's jobs will be affected by that. If Belichick wants to go to the Giants, which a lot of people have spoken about because of the legacy of the Giants and Belichick's connection to the Giants. Started out as a defensive coach for the Giants. There's a real possibility Dable is gone. If Belichick wants that job, Dable could be gone. I could see him turning Daniel Jones into a more than competent quarterback. If he wants to go to Los Angeles Chargers, then Staley is absolutely gone if he isn't already, or the Commanders. Here, there's rumors about that as well. So wherever Belichick goes, that coach is absolutely gone. So those are the things you got to look at here with that situation. But yeah, 7-10 sounds about right to me for sure.
What's just really wild, man, is that not to say that Robins by themselves aren't complete and utter badasses and deserve all their respect, but it is very clear who was Robin and who was Batman, and there ain't no right. Robin without Batman. Sure. Like it doesn't even exist. Like Belichick did some work as a coach beforehand. Like give him credit. Like he was part of that team that
the Browns
team and all that. So like he still deserves praise.
Right.
However, oh my God, did Brady really take him from in the same way you can say the same thing about Phil Jackson, because then he tried his hand out elsewhere without Kobe and without Jordan. Is Phil Jackson really that coach? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I agree. We got one more here from Doug Developer. Great to see you, Doug. He says, what are you guys' overall thoughts on Nick Sirianni's antics? Should that be tolerated? New York sports radio hosts here think he is a major douche. I think it's funny that New York sports radio hosts think someone else is a major douche. That is some funny ass shit to me. But no, I think Nick Sirianni is happy being the villain. I think he's happy doing that and playing the villain. It takes the attention away from his players. And I think he has got no problem doing that and likes to get into it. He was making some gesture towards Patrick Mahomes, which Jalen told him to put the hand down. So look, he's a young coach. He took a team to the Super Bowl, and he's got his way of doing things. And if that works and turns everybody in Philadelphia into the us against them mentality, and takes them to the Super Bowl and they win again, then no one's going to have an issue with Nick Sirianni's antics because it's leading to victories and a chip. So to me, I don't have a problem with it. Although it may irk some fans, I don't have a problem with it. What about you, Winston?
I want you to show the thing that I'm sharing right now, because this is essentially how
I love this
how Philly operates.
I love this kid.
Hey, good game. Fuck you.
Fuck you, guy.
That's Philly, bro.
Yeah.
That's Philly. So I expect I'm not surprised that Sirianni is going to be exactly like that entire city is.
Yeah.
Brotherly love my ass. And brotherly shove is correct, not just because they push the ball when they're on when they have 1 yard to go, but because niggas in Philly just be shoving motherfuckers for no reason. And then they want to get all weirded out when they get shoved back, bitch.
But and look, Nick Sirianni made sure to go into the Bills locker room after the game to shake Sean McDermott's hand after they were unable to meet post game. So just letting you know, he has some class, he has some respect for the coaches he coaches against. But there it is. And we've seen coaches talk their shit. I know Sean Brennan doesn't want to remember Andy Reid doing the dap in the locker room there as a disrespect. So to Philly. So, they've all got their own things. And Chiefs linebacker called Sirianni a corny ass motherfucker. So, feel the way you want to feel about it. But shit talkers are always going to shit talk, and you're a shit talker, and shit talkers always hate other shit talkers. That's the game. And to me, I don't have as much of a problem with it. Yeah, exactly. All right. One last game in the first half of the section here. Zay Flowers caught and ran for touchdowns here. And the Ravens forced 4 turnovers in a 20-10 victory over the Chargers. I think we've talked all around this game, Winston. Not sure there's much more to say here, except the Ravens look good on both sides of the ball. Lamar was 18 of 32 here, and he ran for 39 yards on 11 carries. He became the 4th quarterback in NFL history to exceed 5,000 rushing yards. Now, the Chargers did come into the game tied for the league with the lowest amount of turnovers. but then turned it over 4 times, as I said here. Justin Herbert was 29-44 for 217 yards with a touchdown and a critical interception near the end of the game. Keenan Allen had 14 catches for 106 yards. And they took care of business. So to me, the Chargers are on the way down. The Ravens are on the way up. And it's kind of crazy that the Ravens are the number 1 seed in the AFC this late in the season. We've been talking about everybody but the Ravens here in the AFC.
I mean, look, man, the Harbaugh is just like Tomlin. The two of them will always be relevant. They like the fact that the Steelers at 7-4. This is what these two teams do.
They're only one game behind the Chiefs. The Steelers, Winston, 1 game behind the Chiefs.
Even though everybody is like, and that just goes to show Tomlin will be done coaching when he's done coaching.
Yeah, exactly. You don't tell Tomlin when he's done. Great point.
Like that's crazy because they don't have a quarterback. They don't. And look what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? And the fact that the Ravens themselves are still have to be concerned about the Steelers walking away from it when they're clearly the better team right now.
Yeah. It's insane. It's insane to look at this thing. So, but I think the Ravens are going to be fun to watch near the end of the season, see what happens, see how this all plays out. We're all set up for some very exciting playoffs on both sides of the fence, I think, on both conferences.
I want to tell you about my favorite playoff.
Go ahead.
Bro, this to me was the best thing that happened all motherfucking football weekend, bro. Okay. So for those that aren't aware, there is a podcast that is rivaling ours. You know, we're out here being superstars, and then Uncle Shannon and Ocho Cinco, they're attempting to be as good as Game Time with Nightcap, right? Not that they're at 325,000 subscribers in the course of maybe 6 to 8 weeks. That's not the important part.
If we were on Fox, we would have those numbers too. So
it's not important. It's not important.
Competition, damn it.
But Ocho Cinco's getting married. Congratulations, Ocho.
Congratulations, Ocho.
And so they were talking about getting Shannon a date, and they were like, "What about Meg the Stallion?"
Oh.
And so he had a bunch of comments, but this is probably the funniest one that he said, because he said a lot, and I don't have all of them clipped out, but this is my favorite one.
You know what I'm saying, Ocho? But hey,
yes, sir.
I have a stretched out like a 2:45.
What?
You know what I'm saying, Ocho? Don't play with me.
Oh my.
Ocho, you better stop playing with me, Ocho. Huh? Man, please. Man, I got that liquid now on me. I keep that liquid on me now.
Come on now.
Bro.
Oh my.
Bro. I have her stretched out like a 2:45. He said some other shit. He said, man, he said that ass, he said, this is fatter than a swamp raised possum.
What?
He said that. And then he also said, man, I have open like saloon doors. Don't play with me.
Oh my Lord. Oh my Lord. Oh my Lord. We went there.
Bro, I was fucking dead. And especially because it's one of those situations. What I miss, because I was so afraid when this happened, I was like, man, someone gonna come and try and cancel him for this.
Oh yeah.
That's literally, and I'll tell you this because girls do that shit too. You're just shit talking.
Yeah, of course.
You're just shit talking, and it's good natured fun about how he knows she's a baddie, and he's like, "Hey man, you're ugly, nah." You know what I'm saying? Like, if he's doing this to her face, then it might be like
of course.
And you still might if you're flirting or whatever, but you gotta read that room. But just as just talking some shit, that's fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
And I understand why and then the fact that Ocho got up and started dancing and shit. So to me, that was the greatest score of the football week and the best touchdown dance afterwards after hearing that.
I like it. He was getting down on that. All right, here we go. The rest of the NFL. Let's get through these games real quick and see what we want to talk about. The Broncos' surging defense got 3 more takeaways here to lead them to a 29-12 victory over the Cleveland Browns. They knocked out their 3-name rookie starting quarterback there with a concussion. Love tied career high with 3 touchdowns here to lead the Packers to a 29-22 shocking victory over the Lions on Thanksgiving Day. The Bears outlasted the Vikings last night 12-10 on the fourth field goal by Santos after 4 interceptions by Josh Dobbs. And O'Connell said afterwards that he is going to have to reevaluate the quarterback position and figure out where he's going to go next. Therefore, basically implying that Dobbs might not be the starter. I mean, Mullins is back off the IR, so Mullins may be getting the nod, or Case might be getting the nod. We shall see. Tyreek Hill's touchdown, Javon Hollins 99-yard pick six here, led the Dolphins past the Jets 34-13. Sorry, Haskell. Tim Boyle is not the answer. The Steelers piled up a season high 421 yards. It is the first time the Steelers had amassed 400 yards in offense in, I think, 58 games, and they do it the game after they fired their offensive coordinator, Matt Canada. Nothing implies that you're not going to be hired again as an offensive coordinator, like your team doing better offensively after you leave. They beat the Bengals 16-10 to, as we said, go 7-4 in the AFC. It's crazy. Jonathan Taylor scored twice for these Colts, who are still trying to stay in this playoff hunt with Gardner Minshew, the mustache, leading them. They beat the Buccaneers and poor Baker Mayfield 27-20. Desmond Ridder overcame 2 interceptions to lead the Falcons past the Saints into a first-place tie for the division, 24-15. I think Tom Brady could come back right now and win the division. Giants edge the Patriots and their woeful quarterbacks here, 10-7, aided by a late missed field goal. Derrick Henry ran for 2 touchdowns to lead the Titans over the Panthers 17-10, which led to, as we said, the firing of Frank Reich after only 11 games in charge of the Panthers. And Matt Stafford threw 4 touchdowns, and the Rams rolled to a 37-14 victory over the Cardinals. What do you want to talk about from these games? Winston.
All right. This is the Week 12 show, right? So the Super Bowl show, or the Thanksgiving show.
Yeah.
We're at 1 hour, 21 minutes, and 45 seconds. I say that now so that we all remember.
Okay.
I'll wait. I'll give it 10 seconds. So it's at 1 hour and 22 minutes.
Okay.
So I'm going to make a bold statement right now.
All right.
The Denver Broncos will go to the AFC Championship game.
Whoa!
They're not going to win it. They will not win it, but they will make it to the AFC Championship game. I am calling it right now. Yeah. And my reasoning behind that, they are hitting a stride. Mm-hmm. Sean Payton clearly has their ear. Russell Wilson has come out of nowhere and feels like he is having a full. The difference between him and Geno in the second coming is that Russell has been to 2 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
And it's been an MVP candidate and all of this. They will make the AFC Championship. They will lose it. And I have a feeling they will lose it kind of badly. Because whether the Chiefs figure their ish out, the Ravens continue to do what they do, or the Dolphins really do figure out how to do it on both sides of the ball and go.
Yeah.
I think any of those real contender teams will finish the job. But the Broncos are playing so well. Yep. And that's the kind of confidence you need to really build something after that. And then you're able to attract other other big free agents because you see what Sean Payton's building up there.
Yeah.
I truly believe that the Broncos will make the AFC Championship game. That is my bold ass prediction at 1 hour and 22 minutes on the Week 12 show of Game Time. That's the only thing I really wanted to talk about. The rest of these games, we kind of dabbled in them here and there. Yeah. I am shocked that the Lions allowed the Packers to do that to them. That was pathetic. Who cares about the Saints and the Falcons? They're both not good. I hate that the Saints have as much talent as they do, and they're this bad. But DA and Carr are not the answer.
Nope.
Peggy, let me know what you smoking because clearly it's some good shit. Peggy, you want to put like a quick 10 spot on that?
Yeah.
I'll Venmo you the $10 if I lose because I'm trying to tell you there is something happening when they can play the Browns like that. And again, I know that the Browns offense is not good, but that defense is a top 2, top 3 defense in the league. And for them to do that they beat the Chiefs, they beat so many teams that it's like, where the fuck did this come from?
Right. Listen, I told you all last week that the Broncos and the Texans were going to make the playoffs. I didn't go as far as go to the AFC Championship, but I had a quiet dream. A young child on his knees praying to God, asking for the possibility of the Broncos to go to the AFC Championship game. Maybe. But Winston, right here stating it, I absolutely agree with him that the chances are looking more and more like that is going to happen because their defense is turned around. And didn't I say last week that if the Dolphins were to play this Broncos team now, the Broncos might beat them, and it wouldn't be 70-20. It would absolutely be a destruction by the Broncos of these Dolphins. So to me, I'm on board with you, Winston. I like these Broncos. I think they're getting in these playoffs. You've got a Super Bowl winning veteran quarterback in Russell Wilson, a Super Bowl winning veteran coach in Sean Payton. You've got Cortland Sutton coming on. You've got Jerry Jeudy actually figuring things out. You've got a strong defense that's taking pride in how it plays its defense and learning from that 70-20 debacle, and they want in on these playoffs. This is a hungry team that, as you were saying earlier, how those Packers snuck into the Super Bowl and won it by being the last team to qualify for the playoffs that year. Don't be surprised that these Broncos shock the shit out of some of these AFC stalwarts when they get into the playoffs, and I would not be surprised if they made it to the AFC Championship game for sure, Winston. And like I said last week, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon, and everybody cheering on the Jets as they beat the Broncos a few weeks ago in that Nathaniel Hackett game. Now they look like idiots for not understanding how good the Broncos were, and the Jets look like an absolute dumpster fire.
Because I understand they're on the outside looking in right now.
Yeah.
But like, let's look at this. The like you said, the Colts, they are tied with the Colts and the Texans. You could easily usurp that seed from both of those teams. I think that the Texans are good, obviously, but I think the experience of Wilson and Sean outplays Stroud's incredible rookie season. So I give them that seed, right? So then they would potentially play, if things remained where they were, they play the Chiefs. If they did it once, what makes you think they can't do it again?
Right.
And so if you beat them, then you end up going against the Ravens. That's very dangerous. But again, we have not seen Lamar win a playoff game yet.
Right. Well, we've seen one, but not.
We've seen him win one. We've seen him win one. Russell has gone the distance multiple times.
Yeah.
And he clearly has kind of gotten his mojo back. And Sean Payton is doing he is on that good Molly right now. Because he is rolling, bro. He is rolling.
I'm going to take the graphics down. Look at this AFC situation here, Winston. And there's no way, and I'm going to make a little bit, I'm going to zoom in on this because I want people to see what we're talking about. Right here, you're looking at the Steelers, the Browns, and the Colts. These are all pretenders to these spots, 5, 6, and 7. The Texans, the Broncos, and the Bills have a very good shot to slide in and take all three of these teams out. I don't think the Colts are going to the playoffs with Gardner Minshew, no matter how hard they try. The Browns have some guy from the stands playing quarterback now. And Pittsburgh, I'm just waiting for that shoe to drop. Pittsburgh is the team that I think could sneak in, but there's no way the Texans and the Broncos, if they keep playing this consistently good football, don't get in and take that Browns spot and that Colts spot for sure. And God knows what's going to happen with the Bills because the Bengals and everybody else below them are pretty much cooked.
So these are the teams that they need to be scared about, right? That because I said they would go to the AFC Championship. I didn't say they were going to go the distance. I said that they can win 2 games and get to the AFC Championship game. So that being said, let's say that they don't end up with the 7 seed. Let's assume because of how all this is going, if they go to the 6 seed, and things were to remain the same, then they would be playing Jacksonville. They can beat Jacksonville. Jacksonville is very good, but they can beat Jacksonville for sure. The way the Broncos defense is playing. And then let's say they end up at the 5 seed. So they're playing the Dolphins. That is the only one that actually makes me nervous. If they play the Dolphins again, there is a vendetta that Mike McDaniel has, honestly. And you've heard that story, right? He was the ball boy for them. And he just asked to even now that he was at that age, if he could get a job interview, and they're like, nah, son, get the fuck out of here. So you know what? He ran the score up 70-20 because he was like, go fuck yourself. Now, I don't think they could do it again.
Nope.
I don't think they could do 70-20, but I do think they would. That's the only matchup that I think the Dolphins genuinely have the Broncos by the balls. But the rest of the teams in the AFC playoffs, they've proven that they can do it. Yeah. And I believe that they could.
Yeah, and I'll go one with the Dolphins thing. I think the Broncos would absolutely own the Dolphins in a rematch. I'll tell you why. Remember a few years ago when the Patriots absolutely prison raped the Jets in the regular season.
Whoa, we're just casually throwing around the R word.
I mean, they basically American made the Jets is what I'm saying.
And God.
It was horrible. And but what happened? When they went to the playoffs, the Jets, led by future commentator Mark Sanchez, beat the Patriots in the playoffs. Beat them. It was a shocking victory by the Jets. No one saw it coming because I think they had beaten them 44-10 or 45-10 just a few weeks earlier. The Jets made the adjustments. They were hungry. They were angry. They were pissed. And I guarantee you the Broncos would love nothing more than to meet Miami in the playoffs when it counts to exact their revenge for that 70-20 embarrassment from earlier this season. So I guarantee you that if the Dolphins play the Broncos in the playoffs, the Broncos will win that game. I guarantee you. Yeah.
I mean, on top of the fact that I believe that one of those years that the Giants won the Super Bowl, they got mollywopped.
Yeah.
They did. They got mollywopped by the Patriots in the last game of the season.
I remember that game.
Yep. Well, it wasn't even mollywopped. They lost by a field goal.
Right. And Tom played the whole game. Tom played the whole game.
Yep. Which is funny because it felt like a little bit of foreshadowing of like, guys, they're better than you think.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like it kind of came out of nowhere that they were like, no. They are within range here. And then lo and behold, everything came together when it was time to come together. And then they just, dude, it was embarrassing.
Yeah.
Because we beat the hell out of them both games that year. Like one game was not good. It was 6-3. It was a defensive stand like a mug. But for them to play in the wild card, beat the Buccaneers, and I remember that 21-17 game that we lost because I had broken my tailbone.
Okay.
And so I remember sitting there being like, oh man, my ass hurts. And then my ass hurt afterwards because like we got our asses whooped and it was just embarrassing. Like it was 21-17, but it didn't play like that. It played much worse.
Yeah.
So, boy, man, I have a feeling. I have a feeling that the Broncos are about to upset some folks. They're not going to make the distance, but they're going to make people go, holy shit, we need to pay attention to Denver.
Yep. Yeah, we will see. We will see for sure. All right, let's take one last break, Winston. We'll hit these two last stories and get on out of here because I know we both got to get on with our days. We'll be right back right after this. All right, let's do it. Real quick, I want to talk about Tom Brady's comments staying in the NFL here. He was being interviewed on was it Stephen A. Smith's podcast. He was talking about the NFL, and this is what he had to say. I'm going to play you the full quotes from him so you guys can follow along, and we have the same idea of what Tom is saying here. Let me bring it up for you all, and I'll share the screen real quick. Can you feel me filling in the time here? I think this is it. Yeah, here's what he had to say.
I think there's a lot of mediocrity in I think there's a lot of mediocrity in today's NFL. Yeah. I don't see the excellence that I saw in the past.
Why not?
And
why not?
I think the coaching isn't as good as it was. I don't think the development of young players is as good as it was. The rules have allowed a lot of bad habits to get into the actual performance of the game. Mm-hmm. So I just think the product, in my opinion, is less than what it's been. I think I look at a lot of players like Ray Lewis and Rodney Harrison and Ronnie Lott and guys that impacted the game in a certain way. And every hit they would have made would have been a penalty. You hear coaches complaining about their own player being tackled and not necessarily, why don't they talk to their player about how to protect himself? We used to work on the fundamentals of those things all the time. Now they're trying to be regulated all the time. Offensive players.
So that's what he had to say, Winston. And Alex Smith, who is a recent retiree from the NFL, had some comments about Tom Brady's comments. And I got this is a great flame war that's going on here. Let's play Alex Smith's comments from ESPN's.
I think a lot here, Sam. Listen, first off, let me just preface this. I love Tom, the GOAT. But you don't need to say that. But just kidding. First off, he hasn't been retired that long. He was just playing. Like, he just won a Super Bowl in the current game. Like, is he discounting that one? And then my biggest complaint with this, and no offense to you guys, well, all three of you guys, he played in the most uncompetitive division, I think, in NFL history.
Woo!
I mean, you come out of training camp.
Look at Rex.
You got a ticket to the playoffs right away. Like, talk about mediocre. Like, I completely disagree with this. I know he's referencing the rule changes.
Do you agree with Tom?
So, I mean, I thought this was a great back and forth. I think he put Tom in his place big time because Tom's trying to act like he's been retired for 20 years. He didn't even play with Ronnie Lott. He is trying to act like, that the game has changed and be so unaware that the reason the game has changed is because Tom has cried to the referees for 2 fucking decades every time he gets knocked down. So this is hilarious that he's complaining about the situation that he was instrumental in creating. And I thought Alex Smith handed him his ass about talking about the uncompetitive division.
Didn't the Tuck rule come to existence because of his ass?
Well, it was reinforced after that situation for sure against the Raiders in the playoffs. Yes.
There's a couple things. First of all, clearly we figured out where the cocktail exists to remain young because Brady looks
good. Yeah.
No, he doesn't.
Oh.
Brady looks like whatever secret, Michael's secret stuff he was getting. My guy looks like goddamn Skeletor. I don't know what the fuck's going on right now, but Second of all, Alex Smith is very on point.
Yeah.
You won that Super Bowl 3 years ago?
Yeah. In the modern NFL that you're complaining about.
The one that you're saying is garbage. Yeah. You just won one. So if that's the case, then take that back. And Alex Smith is right. I always said this about the AFC East, which was fucking crazy. Yeah. The only AFC division worth its salt the whole time he was playing was the North because the Ravens and the Steelers. Yeah. And then he was there during Andy Dalton, who he kept getting them to the playoffs. Right. And then the Browns, despite all of their quarterback issues, would still make noise here and there. When were the Bills last good? The 90s. They decided to be good recently because of Josh Allen. When were the Jets good? For a short stint when Rex was there, and then butt fumble became butt fumble, and that fell apart. And when have the Dolphins been good? Not never since Dan Marino. They just decided now that they're going to Alex Smith is so on point. Now, that doesn't take away the fact that Brady had to play teams other than his division.
Of course.
But when you essentially, not just the playoffs, the rest of the season, but when you essentially are handed 6 wins every year with a little parity to maybe go 5 or 4 in the division, but you're winning 6 games automatically a year, of course you're always going to win the division. Of course, then you only need to win maybe another 6 games in the rest of your schedule.
Yeah.
And you automatically get the home field advantage, the bye, all that kind of stuff. If he had played in a division with Peyton Manning, I don't know if we're calling Tom Brady the GOAT. He is still that good, but Peyton was also that good. And I know Brady typically had the edge on him, but he only had to face him so many times in his career. By them both being the first place teams, they typically played every year, but that's 1 game. If he had to play 2 to 3 games, so that's 2 regular season and a playoff game every year, dude, that rivalry would have looked completely different. It would have looked completely different. It's the reason why, I think Romo and Eli was a pretty big one. Even though Eli got the rings and Romo never did, those Giants-Cowboys games were always a big deal because Eli couldn't decide if he was going to be the man or if he was going to be a scrub. And Romo couldn't decide if he was going to throw for 500 or if he's going to throw for 2 interceptions. But the point was they were both really good, and it was watching the 2 of them headbutt like this every year, 2 to 3 times a year. Brady didn't have to do that with nobody. Name a quarterback that Brady had in his division that he had to deal with 2 to 3 times a year. He ain't got one.
No, you're right. You're right. That's what's a lot of people's complaints about Floyd Mayweather's run. He never had a rivalry. He never had anybody that brought out the best in him, because current Canelo would give prime Mayweather a run for his money. Canelo, when he fought Mayweather, was not prime Canelo just yet. And so that's the difference when you look at it. So, yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, go ahead, yeah.
Like, look, man, Patrick Mahomes is the man. He's the man. If Burrow or Allen moved into his division, holy shit. If he had gotten Wilson in peak, bro.
Oh, Russell Wilson.
We're having a whole different conversation. And I think that's why people are so disappointed in Herbert, because they thought that was about to be the mix it up that Mahomes was going to get twice a year. But he ain't got, because like even I look at Roethlisberger and Flacco. Flacco was never the guy, but he did win a Super Bowl MVP, and he did lead that Ravens team for so long. And those two teams headbutting every year was holy shit. Holy shit. Where I don't have that in his division. I don't.
Yeah. And I think it's ridiculous, because I get the point of what Tom is saying, is essentially he's trying to ride the NFL is too soft bandwagon and all of that, which I understand. A lot of people were trying to defend Tom's words by saying, well, the genesis of what he's saying is correct. The foundational piece of what it is, it's too soft. This is the NFL. And the thing is, sports science has increased so much that players playing now are much more lethal than they were back then. Yes, even the Ronnie Lotts, even the Ray Lewises, those were the anomalies, the exceptions. Nowadays, you can get injured by a no-name linebacker, by a linebacker who's famous, or by a linebacker who's kind of famous on every play, because these guys are in tip-top physical shape. Sports science, the food they eat, the training they do, the coaching they get now, it's a different game. That's why they outlawed the helmet-to-helmet hits. That's why they outlawed the way the defensive receiver situation is real, because people are getting concussions at higher rates than they ever did before, because of the physical abilities and the training these players are in. So Tom can complain about all this nonsense, and Tom is the reason for all this nonsense, by the way, because the NFL didn't want their prima donna hurt in any way, shape, or form, and created all these rules to protect quarterbacks from being hit. I think you can only hit a quarterback now on the left shoulder pad to knock him down. This is the thing that Tom Brady created. And Mr. I pump my NFL footballs to a certain size can't sit here and complain about this situation that's going on in the NFL. It's a massive amount of hypocrisy from Tom Brady.
Dude, you know some of the best like divisional quarterback headbutts? Jim Kelly, Dan Marino.
Yeah, right. Those were great.
I mentioned Romo and Eli. That was a big one. Bro, Drew Brees and Matt Ryan.
Yeah. And the fact NFC South,
you had to earn your salt. Holy shit. And then you decided to add a Cam Newton into the mix. There was a reason why the NFC South was that division that people were going, holy shit. Because you had Brees, and he would have, like Reggie Bush, or he would have Michael Thomas near the end there, Jimmy Graham. Like, you would have his superstar that he was connecting with. Or you would look at Matt Ryan with Julio Jones, one of the most ridiculous connects we've ever seen.
Agreed.
Or Cam Newton with Steve Smith. Like, you had a division full of people just headbutting each other over and over again, like Rams. Not the Rams. They're fuck them. But like just over and over. And Brady still won all the Super Bowls, and that's hard to do no matter what. There are good teams throughout the league. You had to play somebody wilding out. He did play Peyton at least pretty much once a year, because they would almost always win their division.
Yep.
But who is his rival for him to be able to say that when Alex Smith is right? You were handed the division every year, bro.
Yeah, agreed. And you look at the situation. I want to correct John. Unfortunately, John, you're not 100% correct here. It is Tom Brady who has a 3-2 victory over. Manning is 3-2 over Tom Brady, not 4-3. They met 5 times in the NFL playoffs. Peyton Manning and Tom Brady. Manning won 3 out of the 5 in the playoffs. So that tells you, that supports your point even more, Winston, that if Brady had been in the same division, or Manning had been in the same division as Brady, we would have had a completely different Tom Brady situation. And don't sleep on those tight Super Bowl games. If the Seahawks run the ball with Skittles, if the Atlanta Falcons don't give up a 28-3 lead at halftime, if either the Eagles with Donovan McNabb or Jake Delhomme get the last shot to kick the field goal, we're looking at a Patriots team that was 500 in the Super Bowl and no longer talking about the GOAT Tom Brady. So,
dude, you can say that about every sport, because they've been saying it about the NBA. Like all these 90s and 80s players be like, oh, the current is soft. I walk through it. I used to go for a dunk and get elbow to the jaw.
Yeah.
Okay. And none of y'all motherfuckers can shoot threes like Steph can. Like, you know what I'm saying? On top of the fact, I love LeBron. I love LeBron. That man is amazing. The man played in the East. The East has been one of the weakest conferences we've seen in NBA history for a minute. They have switched it now, but like in most of his run, who was stopping him? The Celtics big three for half a second, but that's why he went to what, like 7 or 8 straight NBA finals? Because who was stopping him in the East? And now that he's in the West, and you got to deal with the Warriors that are still like riding in their dynasty, you see all of a sudden the Denver Nuggets or something, the Mavs are throwing down, the Suns are an issue. He got to 1 NBA finals and won it, and he deserves the credit for that. But he ain't doing it in the same way that Brady went down to the Buccaneers. And granted, he won a Super Bowl as soon as he got there. Good for you. Right. How close was he to sniffing another Super Bowl after that? No. The Rams beat him, and then he was out. Yeah, exactly. So, oh, that's so true. So true. All right, we should wrap it up there, Wiz. I know we had another story, but we should get going with our days. Thank you all so much for hanging out with us. Thanks. We have one last Streamlabs. Sorry about that. Mike Joy says, what's the deal with Travis Etienne on the Jaguars? He was lighting up before the bye week and hasn't done much since then. Is he hurt in the doghouse, or is Trevor Lawrence just stealing his touchdowns lately? It's a good question. I mean, looking at play count here, you've got 30 total rushes to 38 passes, and he only got his number called 20 times. So like that is like the average, somewhere between 20 and 25, 26 rushes. But I just think that like Trevor's on a roll. So they're big play. They're really using Etienne to kind of get the first down type situations. They're using him to like kind of convert versus letting Trevor cook.
Yeah. That could be what's going on there. And I think they want to establish him more and more. And I think at the end of the day, that's what it feels like is happening. Because you look at these yards, I mean, you say he was lighting it up. I get you 77, 40, although 77 first game, 40 in the second game, 88 in the third game, 55 in the fourth game, 136 in the sixth game, fifth game rather, 55 in the sixth game, 59 in the seventh game, 79 in the eighth game, 35, 52, 56. So he's regressed back to the mean, but it doesn't mean like he hasn't had 50-yard games throughout the whole year. So that's just kind of where Etienne is at. And maybe they feel they need to focus more on Trevor Lawrence because his numbers are getting higher and higher in terms of passing yardage. Maybe they feel they need to establish that more and only go to the run less.
It's also your best player is Trevor Lawrence. So you gotta kind of feed that, you know what I mean? And like on top of that, they got embarrassed by the Niners.
Right.
And when he had those 35 yards, and they definitely went back to the drawing board and they were like, shit, we got to make some adjustments. And I think that they just decided we need to focus on the pass game. And it doesn't mean Etienne's not a part of it. They just need to focus.
Yeah. That's a fair point. All right, there you go. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate that Streamlab. Appreciate all the Streamlabs and that you guys have sent in today. Thank you so much. Thanks for the lively chat. You guys are awesome. We love you madly. Peg, you're going to owe Winston A. Marshall $10. So Peggy, set that aside from your money that you make every week. And we'll see what happens with the Broncos. But let us know what you thought about all the games and everything we talked about down in the comment section below. Any sports stories you wanted us to cover, let us know. We'll put a tab on it and see if we cover it next time around. Winston A., another fun show. Please let people know where they can find you, brother.
You can find me at the Swaggy Blurred. I am doing my CPT reviews over on here on YouTube. So please go over to my channel. If you haven't subscribed already, please do so. I just did. I'm in the middle of doing Scott Pilgrim Takes Off. I'm starting off by doing a like a rewatch review of Scott Pilgrim versus the World that dropped this morning.
Nice.
Episodes 1 and 2 of Scott Pilgrim Takes Off. Those reviews should be out, if not this evening, by tomorrow morning. And then we'll go through that whole series. And then after that, I will be doing the CPT review of Loki. I couldn't talk about it during the strike, so I hadn't posted it yet, but those will come up after Scott Pilgrim. I feel like I wanted to get something that's a little more immediately relevant. So please go over there, give me a subscription if you don't mind, throw a like on a few videos. And there's some comedy on there too, man. Don't miss any of that stuff that's on there as well.
And one last thing, because go ahead.
Sorry, last thing. This Saturday, if you're in the Los Angeles area, please come to Flappers. Stand up, come see it. It's gonna be awesome.
Come see Winston tell some jokes, y'all. You know, he's funny on the show, so he's got to be funny on that stage. You sent me a tweet here, buddy. We got it real quick. Colorado, Deion Sanders. This is heading towards a divorce very quickly. The class of 2025 running back Jamarice Wilder has decommitted from Colorado, going someplace else. And this great tweet from @DragonflyJones. Kids heard Deion say Colorado University wasn't going to be a program where you can run that NIL bag up, and saw that sideline go from The Rock to Cedric the Entertainer to Jacquees and said, no, sir, let me out. And I said this a few weeks ago. All the hype they had for Colorado and people were on the sidelines. As soon as they started losing, poof, celebrities were gone. And that tells you right there how real that whole situation was. And Deion, one more season of terrible coaching, and he's going to be done coaching at a high level in college, brother. For God's sakes, it's ridiculous.
Yikes, man.
Yeah, there you go. All right, as for me, you can follow me at The Rocha Says on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, The Outlaw Nation on Twitch. Please follow me on Twitch. I am putting the PS5. I've created room on the desk. It is going to be next to me. I'm going to start playing more and more games there. So come and watch me there on Twitch. Have some fun doing some Twitch-only shows as well. More content coming down the road. So follow me there on Twitch. And, of course, subscribe to the channel here and subscribe to my main YouTube channel at The Rocha Says there. Go and find it there. All right, be well. Take care of yourselves. We'll talk to you next time with another brand new episode here of Game Time. Peace.